axis, sharp minds enthrall. Gamers play, this never ends. SSL, where legends blend. SSL, we fight tonight. Battles in the storyline. From the shadows to the dream, we are the SOOP StarCraft League. We are the SOOP StarCraft League.
I want to live every moment I can give. In the now I will thrive. I want to live.
Hello and welcome to Group C of the round of 24 of KB Live Mobile 2024 SOOP StarLeague Autumn Season. Yesterday we had Bisu and Mini advance on through, making Protoss the most numerous race in the round of 16 so far. Could we perhaps see the other races launch a counter-offensive today? Well, let's talk to the 4 players ahead of Group C. Hi. Let's start with Tier 1 Terran Rush. Rush, this is your 15th appearance in a row since Season 4. Oh, really? Yes, you're building quite a track record. How is your form today? I slept well, I practiced a lot, my condition is good. I remember you sailed through the qualifiers with no moments of crisis. How were the qualifiers for you? I ran into Shine. It was easy. Oh, easy. Well, I can't wait to see what you have in store, seeing how confident you are from the get-go. Now, ahead of his match against Rush, we have a player who is surely very anxious, as it is his debut in the SSL. It's Motive. Hi. You have finally managed to break through the door of the qualifiers and are now waiting to play your first proper match. How are you feeling? I'm not as all over the place as I thought I would be ahead of my first game on stage. I think I should be able to play what I have come prepared with. Your confidence has merit, seeing how bold and decisive you were in the qualifiers. Now, Protoss players have been doing really well, including yesterday, which I'm sure you're aware of. Has that given you some courage? I respect and follow closely the Protoss players that have made it into the SSL. Bisu especially had a great impact yesterday. That was so cool. We will see if Motive can uphold the Protoss family name today. Let's now say hi to Royal. Royal, your track record is just as impressive as that of Rush. You're now making your 10th round of 24 appearance in a row. How are you feeling with this being your 10th season? To be honest, I never considered the round of 24 difficult, but this time around, I ran into some difficulties during practice, so I'm a little worried. Oh, is that so? Well, we gotta ask you about the group itself then, because you have defeated Rush on the big stage before. I did not think you would consider the round of 24 difficult, but you clearly think otherwise. If you just look at the lineup, then it is doable, but I found the maps difficult in practice. That's the part I'm worried about. Still, I practiced and I'll do what I can. Got it. Let's now turn to Sacsri. Hi. It's been a while since we've seen you here. After 3 seasons, this is your first time making it through the qualifiers since season 15. How did the qualifiers go? The qualifiers are a difficult matter, but when I saw my qualifier pool, I felt confident. I advanced comfortably. It's been a while since you made it into the tournament, but an even longer time since you've been to the round of 16. 5 years already, which at this point, you pretty much also have to make it to the round of 16 to remind everyone you're a round of 16 caliber player. It's been a long time since I made it into the round of 16, but personally, I think today is a great opportunity to advance once again. I am anxious, but as long as I get that anxiety under control, I think I can expect a good result.
이혜훈 선수는 김지성 선수와는 반대로
Sacsri,
오늘
in
24강
contrast to Royal,
나만
is coming
잘하면
prepared with a mindset that as long as he himself does well today, then the round of 24 is doable. Well, let's keep talking to our players now.
사실
The two Terrans we have in our Group C, for a long time they've been part of the Royal Rush JYJ line rivalry. When you two guys met in the finals of ASL 14, Royal delivered a swift victory. After that, if a match between the two of you comes to fruition today, it'll get really interesting. What do you think about that, Royal?
근데 그때는 이제
Back then, that was the time I really hit my stride, while Rush just does really well every day. I have no idea how things would go today. And since that season 14, Rush has only gotten stronger, more solid as a player. What do you think, Rush? Is Royal living in your head rent-free after that match? It was the finals after all. He is a detestable human being. How could you not come to hate him, right? Right. Well, just joking, of course. In all seriousness, if we end up meeting today, I am going into it with a winning mindset. I prepared well, my TVT. You put a high percentage of your practice time into TVT. I practiced all 3 matchups, but I did focus more on TVT. I see. I wonder if there is a chance the two of you could meet today in the winners match, the elimination match perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Royal and Sacsri are preparing to face off in the second match today, and looking at their respective history on the big stage, they've had some hardships against their opponent's race, with talk of Sacsri having to improve his versus Terran. What would you say to that? How did you prepare against Terran? Personally, I feel confident in that matchup, but my results aren't that good. Still, things went okay during practice, so I have confidence. How did you analyze Royal's strategy, or perhaps some of the weaknesses he might have in your view? Royal, when he's good, he's really good. And when he's bad, he's really, really bad. So it would be nice if today was one of those days he can't play. A lot of meaning behind that statement. What do you think, Royal? Has Sacsri got you figured out? When you play well, you play really well? Well, he ain't wrong. You know, back in the day, I used to be confident against Zerg, and I had the ASL results to show for it. But now I can't live up to that same standard, and TVZ is the matchup I'm the most worried about. But then I look at Sacsri and he seems to be playing well when in reality he isn't. I think maybe I can win today. Wow, you guys are not willing to properly acknowledge each other. Your guys' game is surely going to be an interesting one. Now, there is something I'd like to ask Motive. Right after the qualifiers, you said something to the effect of, luck comes to those who are daring. This word, daring or bold, has become somewhat of a key word for you. Is this a quality you're looking to show through today's matches? How did you prepare? Speaking of luck, boy, have I been lucky. I'll play with confidence today as well. And now Rush is a father to 2 daughters. Now, look at how tan he is. Do you think he's in the right frame of mind? He said he's been going back and forth to the swimming pool. Yeah, he's busy raising his kids, so he's distracted. I'll let his tired body rest. Oh, you're saying he should take a break because it's too difficult in the summer, difficult to prepare for tournaments. Yes, in this stifling weather, he must be having a hard time, so I'll make it easy for him to rest. What a statement from Motive. Wow. Let's close things out with the final remarks from our 4 players. Royal, I'll play so that I have no regrets today. Got it. Rush, my results have not been so good lately, and because of that, I prepared extra hard. I'll make sure to advance. Looking forward to it. Motive, with how tough it was for me to qualify today, I'll play relaxed and with confidence. Okay, and Sacsri? Since it's been a while since I qualified, I'd like to get far. I'll do my best. Looking forward to cool games from our Group C players. Thanks for the interview. You're watching the KB Live Mobile 2024 SOOP StarLeague Autumn Season. Let's get these matches underway and see which 2 of our players will be joining the round of 16 today.
Welcome back, everybody. The SSL, formerly known as the ASL, continues on here with Group C in the round of 24.
Yes, indeed. The first two groups were pretty good. A little bit of an upset, of course, with Queen not making it through. And then you look at today's group, and honestly, I think that this is one of the groups that can have a lot of upsets. Obviously, our two Terran players are unbelievable. I think Rush is probably the best Terran in the world that's playing in ASL. Or SSL at this point. Of course, Royal won in ASL. And the thing is, Motive and Sacsri are deadly. They are so good. So I think that this is probably the overall group of death.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm thinking it's going to be the two Terrans advancing. I kind of am rooting for the two Terrans to advance at this point in time. We've got a lot of great Terran players in this SSL, more than we normally have. Every once in a while, we get one race or faction that's disproportionately bigger than the other. But I feel like if you want a Terran to win, you want these two Terrans to advance. These guys are super strong, super scary, hyper modern. So I don't know. I think that this one should be two Terrans moving on, but who knows? We've already had some upsets.
Yeah. It really, in my mind, this is the group that can have those crazy upsets. And yeah, looking at the overall the group distribution, there's just not a weak player here. There's not a weak player. Motive, a lot of people are not going to know Motive, but let me tell you guys, I cast him all the time on my other casting channel. He's been at the top of the ladder. He just won the CNSL, which is the little online StarLeague for all the players that don't qualify for ASL. So it's like the next best 28 players in the world or 32 players in the world. After the ASL players, and he's just a complete killer. So this is going to be a fantastic group. I cannot wait. Sacsri, unbelievable shape right now. You know, he's always been really good. We've always known that Sacsri's a really good Zerg, but he gets overshadowed by a lot of these guys. You know, he's kind of like the second action, right? Because we always think of like Hero and Sulky and guys like that.
Dude,
and then we're like,
I was literally going to say that exact thing when it was my turn to talk. He reminds me of like an action number 2. Couldn't be more spot on.
Yeah. So that's why I'm looking at this group and I'm like, I have no idea what's going to go down. I actually feel a little bit bad for Sacsri because specifically Royal is maybe the biggest Zerg killer that we've had for Terran ever in this tournament. Like, he is seriously, the builds he brings against Zerg are unbelievable. They have a very hard time against that. So it's going to be a tough match, but I'm super hyped for this group. I really think this is going to be the best group in the round of 24.
Motive is a great player as well. Good with all the races. If you follow his ladder account, like he plays a lot of games off racing. Just a smart guy. Definitely could cause some upsets here. Not going to be an easy player to beat. This is going to be a fun group.
Yeah. I just want to get into it, honestly. Like, I just want to start like right now. I hate that we're having to sit here and go over things because these like really all 4 of these players I want in the next round. If I could like hand pick my round of 16, I would put all 4 of these players there.
I mean, they're so good, so scary. Here's a quick look at Rush. This guy, you know, when Flash took a step back from StarCraft, it was an interesting moment because, you know, Flash overshadows everybody else in StarCraft.
Yeah.
You know, even compared to Bisu and Jaedong, like you'll meet people that know virtually nothing about competitive StarCraft but have heard of Flash. Because, I mean, there's even been these great YouTube videos done on this that there's no game that has ever had anybody as good as Flash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But the big question people are asking themselves is, like, who's going to start to fill in for the presence of Terran? And everybody kind of defaulted into Light, but really, the last few seasons have been about Rush.
Yeah, Rush has been on a steady upwards trajectory, and if you look at his play, like, I have nothing but the deepest respect for Light, his style, his knowledge, but Rush is like an improvement upon that. He's got like those kind of mechanical, good defensive tendencies, but has more punch in his builds, more harassment and things like that. He's like a mix between Sharp and Light in the best ways possible. So really a big fan of Rush. And, of course, going up here against Motive. It's Motive's first time in a StarLeague, like a big one. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I hope that he can play up to his level. This guy has been basically #1 on the ladder He's the only guy that consistently stayed on the ladder above Flash since Flash has been back on the ladder. And so, like, he is just in unbelievable shape. He's been training so hard for years for this. Let's see how he does in his first StarLeague.
We are magic in the air. We are love, we are care. We are here for the ride. Join the fun side by side.
Okay. Rush here in the bottom left. Motive in the top left. And, you know, it's funny you pointed out, yeah, he has not been in an ASL before, but Motive has been very present. If you're hardcore into StarCraft, and I know we get people from all over the place, we get people, a lot of people discovering competitive StarCraft 1 late, by the way. This happens all the time. But there are people that have been following StarCraft forever. And I got to say, Motive has been a ladder monster. He's been a real talent at the game. So it's cool to have this debut. I was going to talk more about this, and I'm getting completely distracted by two probes leaving at the same time.
So you can tell that he's a great ladder player because he's doing a ladder build. He's sending 2 probes at the beginning of the game to steal his opponent's gas, literally no matter what on this 3-player map. Or maybe it's just for a proxy.
Make gateways? Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, this is
I feel like
sad.
this would be to make gateways, yeah.
He checked that top mineral patch, and it's got 1,500 minerals, so he's going to make gates in the wrong base. Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
God.
Just because Rush didn't mine from the top patch. All right, well, this game is over.
Oh, my God.
How embarrassing.
No.
That is, like...
This is so funny.
He is going to be heartbroken.
Wait. We need to pause before we just start laughing about how funny this is, because this all happened so fast and people could be confused.
Yeah.
So, what? Look at the audience, by the way. I mean, this is crazy. So, you got to understand, you're at risk of being spotted if you get close enough to the SCV, right? You could be in range of being spotted. So the trick, and I think Slayer's Boxer was the first person to talk about this. The trick is to get in vision range of the minerals and click on the minerals because you'll see that they have been mined.
Yes.
But he clicked on the top mineral and didn't confirm it with a second mineral before scrambling with his other probe to make the buildings.
Yep.
So he is going to be in the worst imaginable position.
Yes.
We're about to have a zealot
This
pop
is
out
the
here.
worst. Oh, my God.
So the idea is that he doesn't want to get in range of the refinery that's supposed to be being made right there, that you can see in reality is being made in the other spawn. They got to do a close-up. I hope production captures this. This is maybe the most embarrassing fail I have casted.
Yeah,
okay, here we go.
He definitely put his head forward some. So unfortunately, that's the game. The game is done. There is no recovery from here.
This is so embarrassing. This is insane.
Yeah.
I can't believe this poor guy has to play through an entire group today.
Yeah. It's too bad because the plan is actually very, very good. Right? Like checking
it's a really good strategy.
Yeah, building a cannon at the beginning. You can tell he has this really well mapped out. And by the way, you can only check mineral patches on top left and bottom left. You can't check the mineral patches on the right because of their placement. So, like, it all came down to that probe checking that mineral patch. Obviously, it would have been better if he had checked a second one and seen because the second patch down was being mined. As is, there's really, it's like, I can't even imagine how bad this has to feel.
Oh, this is actually truly sad. I mean, for how good this guy is, and again, I think the strategy is actually pretty smart. I think if had he gone to that corner, it would have worked. The idea is that you cannon rush the refinery, and then they can't get tanks, which means they can't stop your cannons, because Marines and SCVs really don't beat cannons. And even if you do beat it, you would have lost so much. So Rush right now is looking at this and imagining that there's a gateway.
He's looking for
center
it
on this map.
He's looking for it with this SCV,
center?
and he can't find it. He's never going to find it either. He's going to be confused, and someone's going to tell him in the back room after his match, and he's going to laugh. That's exactly how that's going to go down. Man. This
This is why, by the way, when you have weird games, it's so important to check the replay. Because, I mean, basically, by the grace of Motive's mistakes, Rush gets a free win here. Now, Rush, by the way, it's not like he's not going to try here. Does that block? No, that can't block. Yeah,
well,
okay.
he was going to make a 4th pylon, so he'll actually leave the game now. There's literally no chance. So
oh,
that is
look at Rush is really perplexed by that game.
Yeah,
no doubt
you see the confusion on his face. He's like, what? He's actually going to go right in and look at the replay now, and yeah, Motive is just like, I can't. I've tried so hard and I've got so far, and in the end, it didn't even matter.
Yeah, he straight up Linkin Park songed it.
We're watching Rush be like, wait, what?
That is so embarrassing.
Ah, there it is.
Oh, yeah, he sees it now. There it is. Okay.
He's got to look over at Motive. Please look over at Motive. Please look over at Motive.
Oh,
dude, he's laughing
gosh,
so hard. Oh my god, this is amazing.
This is like historic what we just saw here.
Yeah. I love how much he's laughing.
This is what makes RTS so crazy is the unique situations that can be created that you can't really replicate in other games.
Well, that one hopefully will never be replicated. Dude,
okay,
it's so
they're
funny.
Gonna show us.
Yeah. The thing is, the pros figure out like good patches to mine generally. So he might have just said, okay, that patch is a little bit less efficient than some of these other patches, because that's a weird mineral layout.
I thought that patch was a good patch, but I could be wrong. So here comes the probe. Now, again, you have to remember, if you got close enough to see SCVs, you would risk being seen. So this is sort of the trick. Clicks on it, sees 1,500 minerals, goes, gotcha, and then goes to the other probe. And the reality is every patch is being mined from, except for that one.
That's it's sad for Motive. It's sad for Motive.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, he might still make it out, but man, I mean, that's just embarrassing.
If he makes it out after that, it's the greatest comeback in the history of esports. Because after
want him
that,
to win this tournament now.
I wouldn't even unplug my keyboard. I would just leave the studio. I'd never log on to my Battle.net account again. That would be it.
I would get on an airplane and leave Asia, is what I would do. All right, guys, short break coming up. Royal versus Sacsri. We'll be right back.
틀에 박힌 건 그만. 구속은 사양할게. 부담 없는 게 좋아. 통신을 내 방식대로. Live my life. Live M.
근데 요즘 바프를 컨셉 잡아서 찍더라고.
맞아.
주방 요리사처럼.
여기만 은근 뭘로 가리는 그런 것도 봤어.
프라이팬으로 가리나?
아, 그럼 프라이팬 크기에 따라 가리볼 수 있는 거야? 와, 완전 궁중 뚫릴 수도 있어.
타이밍 오래 걸리니? 형, 드론이. 그러니까 드론이 소리가 나요.
So bright through battles and through fight, we find our way to light. Side by side, we unite. In shadows, we'll ignite. No need for flight or fright. Together, we're alright. Can't be heroes, just for today. Can't be heroes, never fade away. Whoa! Modes are off, but we climb through mountains out of time. In chaos there's a rhyme. We conquer every climb. Faces strong, fearless gaze, and
Welcome back to the SSL, aka a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, a very painful one. I hope that Motive can rally back from that faux pas, but Rush going to be pretty happy moving forward so easily. Yeah, up next we're going to have Sacsri going up against Royal. Sacsri's been in countless StarLeagues. He's actually a tournament champion from StarCraft 2. A lot of people don't remember that, but he actually did win a big tournament in StarCraft 2, a DreamHack. And yeah, he's just been in very good shape for a very long time. He makes it into pretty much every ASL. Doesn't get super deep, but like he's one of these guys that absolutely can beat everybody.
Yeah, no, he's a killer for sure. So we're going to be going into this next match. Again, I got to say, maybe the biggest fail I can think of. Can you think of anything that was as big of a fail as that, Tastosis? Maybe the one where Mini tried to get a shuttle on an island map to one side of the map to the other.
That was a hilarious one.
And it was chased by a Corsair and killed, and the Reaver was marooned on an island. Maybe there's that. I don't know. Is there anything else?
That was a really goofy one. It's something that jumped out of my mind immediately was when San Zenith and GSL blocked his Nexus with his pylon, where he was like making a photon cannon or something as natural.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big mess up. Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest that I've ever seen. There's probably another one we're not thinking of, but
well, what's crazy about it is that it's an epic high-level fail. Like the strategy's really technical.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can look at that and kind of be in awe of RTS and all the secrets that are inside of the game, and then also realize that you can misuse that incredibly technical rush, the information that you gathered, because you just weren't quite thorough enough to check an additional patch to create the most embarrassing scenario impossible, which is literally scouting and then rushing the wrong spot on the map out of the only two locations your opponent can be in.
Yep. It's nothing but pain. Well, we're going to go into a Terran versus Zerg here. Obviously, Royal being a champion has a much better record than Sacsri, but seriously, guys, do not sleep on this Zerg player. Let's see what he has in him. I would like to see Sacsri beat Royal and avoid the TVT winners match and have some interesting things going on, but I guess we'll see here as we're going to get into Dominator for match 2.
Yep, we're going to be on this map again. Hopefully we'll get to explore a little bit more about how this map operates and what TVZ is like on here. Royal looking very scary. He's also had some pretty crafty early game rushes, TVZ, where I think a lot of other Terran players have... Wait, it was Royal that was doing that stim bum rush? Was that him?
You mean we like stimming across the map?
Yeah, was that
Royal? No, that was Ample. I want to say
pulling out, moving on, going into this game. All my information is wrong, guys. Royal versus Sacsri, game 2 on Dominator. Okay, we've got Zerg here in the top left, and in the center right is Royal. Guys, we're going to make a quick plug here for the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. Please consider signing up if you like this kind of content. We would not be able to do this without you guys. We love you. And, we're keeping the history of the greatest esport alive. A quarter of a century StarCraft has been out, which is crazy. Getting close to 26 years now.
Wow.
And we're still seeing great games. We're, redundancy... It couldn't be farther from what this game is. So many crazy new stories being told, so many great matches, and it's only going to get better from here. Positive vibes, like that guy's shirt says.
Yep. All right. So, what is Terran vs. Zerg going to look like on this map? There's definitely plenty of expansions, but I think you have to, as a Zerg player, like your third base, you can't really take anything except the other natural or other main, because these other gas bases have too many entrances to them, so it's too easy for Terran to run bio up. Like, you need too much static D, right? Like, maybe there's a place you can put, like, 3 Sunkens down that kind of covers, but I don't think that's going to be a great play. Now, he actually goes for a spawning pool first here, which against Royal, I can't argue against that because Royal, look at this, Royal's actually going to go for command center first. Now, this is not a 9 pool. If this was a 9 pool, I would just give him the victory right now. I think there is maybe some chance because sometimes these builds are just like what Sacsri is doing. Sometimes this is just BBS type build, right? Oh, and he's actually going to wall himself in with this as well, so... Yeah, I guess let's see. I don't know the math on how quickly this is going to come, but we also don't know how many Zerglings will be made. A lot of times, like I was saying, right, if an 8-Rax doesn't come, you just make 2 Lings, and that's it. Because you're like, well, I'm going to recover my economy a little bit. But it's also a very, very, very fast gas. So I think very likely this is just going to be like one of those 237 layers, which is, you know, the mutas just come out so quickly. Very aggressive opener from Sacsri.
Yeah. This is definitely a game where, you know, most games of StarCraft follow 2 guys doing 2 core kind of textbook builds, macro builds, and then there's plenty of games where one guy is doing something kind of textbook or conventional and the other player is trying to cheese it or flip it on its head. This is a game where we have 2 extremely unusual builds interacting, which make for a very interesting early game. This is Command Center not on the expansion. That's kind of cool that it just sort of fits in there. That's good for my OCD, I think. Just they're just tucked in there like that. But this Ling Rush is going to hit hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, Marines are about as brittle as anything can be in an RTS. And, you know, Lings are, make no mistake, StarCraft 1 Lings are really tough. They're much better than StarCraft 2 Lings. For those of you that watch this but are StarCraft 2 players, this can do a lot of damage. Now, I don't necessarily think this game is going to end because it wasn't like he kept making Zerglings. He wouldn't want to blindly do this, but this is a pretty big punish. He can block the command center from landing. He can continue to run around. It looks like there might be enough Marines out that the Lings can't do that much more damage, but I mean, this is still a problem until he can... Oh, and he's actually going to go back into making Zerglings, I think realizing that there's an opportunity to overthrow the power grab at the top of the ramp here. If he can get these Lings here before the bunker finishes, this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Royal.
So I think what this is the Lings are here to pressure. I think he'll stop at this point and go back into drones for a moment. But, like, if he can basically just buy a little bit more time, he saw that the gas wasn't even started and his layer's already done. So we're already going way past the timing. Like, you actually need to start... I didn't see exactly when the layer starts, but within 30 seconds, you need to start your engineering bay to have turrets up for mutas. Oh my god, he just runs right past. Dude, these are some great games today.
These are just all crazy, cheesy games. I think the Ling run by was pretty smart.
Yeah.
Now he can come back in here and, you know, this is such a headache. I want to remind everybody, there's no SCVs mining at the command center, by the way.
Oh, man.
I mean, the only way that this could get worse is if, like, Zerg upgraded Burrow or something like that. You know? But, I mean, this is, tempo-wise, there's been so many interruptions just trying to develop here.
Yeah.
And, you know, the early game in any RTS is always more important than all of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That might sound weird, but all the good moves you make early on gets you to where you need to be later on in the game. So it's hard to emphasize just how much Royal is being slowed down in every way imaginable here.
Yeah, and mutas are already being made. The eBay not done yet. This is going to be very tight trying to get turrets up before the mutalisks. Like, you need to start your turrets as they're hatching. So we'll keep an eye on that because the mutas are going to be hatching here very, very shortly. The thing is, he won't have enough to one-shot SCVs, so that'll buy a little bit more time. And he's got to just throw down as many turrets as he possibly can right this second. Just every mineral needs to go into that. He shouldn't be making anything else, basically. Oh, man. This is such a terrible spot. Okay, the mutas actually get sidetracked on that SCV, so that's kind of nice. That's going to buy him the time to finish these turrets. And he's got some very good placement in there as well. But Sacsri is a master of mutalisk micro. Like, he's very, very good at this. He's definitely got an edge here against this opener. The Zerglings were super, super annoying. He slowed all the tech down. But, you know, as you kind of hold on, don't forget, he made a lot of Zerglings. So it's not like we have a ton of drones at home, right? Sacsri's economy is not fantastic. Like, in a situation like this, even though it sucks, if you scan and see 3 drones mining minerals at natural, like, okay, I'm not leaving this game. You have to kill all my buildings, you know? Because it's like you still do have a shot here because the economy of Zerg is very weak.
Yeah, he's going to just take the easy win here and try to kill this depot off. This is going to draw the Marines out. I don't think there's enough mutas that he can fight just yet. It's hard to say. There is a third hatchery being made just at the top right over there.
And he made it there specifically just for quicker rallies. Like, he knows that he can just keep pressure on non-stop this game, and that's what we're going to see. Kills that bunker off, or that depot off, rather. Going for another missile turret. That is an excellent repair for Royal. You have no idea how hard it is to get 3 SCVs to line up and repair a turret like that, but he did that very quickly.
You know, the most important tech right now, this academy, is kind of hanging out to be punished. Remember that the glaives will chain together and damage things through there, too. So this is really a problem. This is forcing the Marines out, which I think can't even actually fight. He even goes in there and kills a medic. If he shuts this down, remember, you will not be able to make medics, fire bats, anything like that. So he gets that.
And he doesn't have range.
Are there scanners, Artosis?
He doesn't have range.
Does he have scanners?
No, I don't think he does. Like, normally when you take this much damage, you skip them to get your SCVs back up. So no scanners, no Marine range to help fight off the Mutalisks.
You know what's funny is, come to think of it, have we ever commentated a game where the Terran lost the Academy to the Muta Rush?
Like, I don't know, maybe.
I think the answer is no. I can't think of one. Maybe you guys can. I don't know. But
well, I can think of plenty of times that I've lost the Academy.
Yeah, well, no, I've definitely had my games where I go, my Academy. Like, but, you know, on a pro level, basically, that's like, you know, the beating heart of your base is the Academy, because that's the tech that brings you into everything else and allows you to eventually focus on factories. So it's kind of remarkable to see that happen in a pro game, but I guess the reality is the Ling Rush was so chaotic and stressful that the Academy was sort of haphazardly placed in a spot that turned out to be extremely vulnerable, and we're basically looking at a Terran that is techless right now. He has all he can make is Marines. He can't get any more medics, which means that Stim is going to drain medic energy in a way that's really hard to even wrap your head around here. So, I mean, things could not be harder right now for Royal.
And they couldn't be easier for Sacsri. It's not a smile you see on his face, but, like, you will see it soon, because there is not a way that a player of Sacsri's level is going to lose a game like this. He's killed so many SCVs. There is nothing going on for Royal. Absolutely nothing. He tried to do a very greedy build here, and he has been punished from A to Z. And I love to see this. I love to see punishes on builds like this, because, like, for instance, so many top Terrans right now are getting away with command center first because no one goes pool first, right? And here Sacsri just turns that upside down and says, no, I'm going to win the game because you wanted to be slightly ahead of me at the beginning. And I love seeing punishes like that.
Well, I think we need to see more of this, because we've had a lot of, you know, like as an example, Nexus first. I mean, I feel like that's become so predictable. Why do we not have more Terrans making double racks to try to counter it? It seems like we're, at least so far, and I know we're very early on, this is day 3 of the season, but it does seem like this is a lot more of like, don't pull that macro crap on me. Like, no greedy play. And look, it's getting punished. I mean, this is probably the easiest mid-game we've ever seen here in a ZVT, and it's all because he basically anticipated the command center first.
Yeah, super, super far ahead here. And, like, I mean, you can just look at the supplies, the fact that there's a third base, a Hydralisk Den, a Queen's Nest. Really, he can do anything. He can make Lurkers, he can keep going Mutas, he could go to Guardians. He could literally just do anything, because you don't have the economy to fight back here. Yeah, he remade his Academy, okay, but there's, like, no SCVs up here. Everything is literally on fire. Not just, like, the saying, like, oh, everything's on fire. No, everything's on fire. The Mutas have damaged everything at this point, and now he has Hydras coming out.
Artosis, you're the greatest commentator of all time. Can I just say that right now?
I know.
Can I just stop you in your
like
moment
how I pointed
of pure
that out?
poetry? Yeah, where I'm like, I guess the Terran buildings do burn, and that's also a metaphor.
Yeah, dude. You better believe that, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a funny set of games here. Like, some of the most kind of crazy early game moments that you could ask for. I think it's going to be an easy 1-2 punch from here. I think he just gets Lurkers. Is he going to actually drop? Hold on a second.
No. I think he's just morphing him there.
Okay.
He'll just run him up to the front.
Yeah, I thought for a second he was going to, like, use a slow drop, because now that I'm looking at this map, you could do actually crazy slow Overlord, like you know, just ferry them inside the main. You could definitely do that on this map.
This map is custom made for early to mid game cheese. It really is. I definitely agree with you. I think now that you've said that, I'm going to watch for that in my latter games because I know that's going to start happening.
That's a PSA right there.
Yeah.
So by the way, guys, there's no scanner at this expansion with this academy that's awkwardly placed right by the main.
He doesn't have a scanner in the main either, does he? So he has no detection to see the lurkers.
Wait, was there a turret at the entrance? I was so busy looking at the academy. I didn't...
Well, there's one like below the bunker, but you don't have to be in range of that.
Yeah, he's got enough down there. So it's not like he could just run up and bro and there's no way to stop it, but we're close.
Okay.
All right, GG.
Okay, so the worst first 2 games that we've really seen in a group here.
No, this is my favorite day of casting so far.
It's fun.
I was so worried we were going to have macro games and people like expanding. Ugh,
yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. A huge punish there by Sacsri. So, like, you know, I don't think that either of these first 2 games are really indicative of skill on anyone's. You know, like, this is stuff that just kind of happens sometimes. These look much more like ladder games than tournament games, where it's like, yeah, shit's just going wrong, you know. Everyone's kind of falling apart and there's easy wins. But I think it'll clean up from here. A Sacsri Rush match in this winners match should be a very, very good one.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. You know, Tastosis was pointing it out, but it's true, man. Sacsri could just move out of this group.
Yes.
Despite the, you know, kind of modern history made with these 2 Terrans that we got. Guys, short break. We will be right back.
틀에 박힌 건 그만. 구속은 사양할게. 부담 없는 게 좋아. 통신을 내 방식대로. Live my life. Live M.
사랑하는 사람인데 남자도 좋아하고 여자도 좋아해. 앞으로 안
이제
만난대?
앞으로 너만 만난대.
아 그럼 오케이. 너 보고 남자 역할도 해달래. 20년 지기?
제 첫사랑이랑 완전 20년 지기 친구랑 한 적 있어요?
뭘? 지금도 아니 사귄 적이 있냐고. 사귄 적이 짝사랑한다. 이건 바람 아니라 생각해.
일기장을 봐버렸어. 보경이에게 너무 미안하다. 보경이와 키스할 때도 그 여자 생각이 났다.
근데 요즘 바프를 컨셉 잡아서 찍더라고.
맞아.
주방 요리사처럼.
뭐 여기만 은근히 뭘로 가리는 그런 것도 봤어.
프라이팬으로 가리나 뭐.
그럼 프라이팬 크기에 따라서 그걸 진작에 볼 수 있는 거야? 완전 김종필일 수도 있어.
맞아, 맞아.
저희 오늘 워스트랑 베스트를 뽑는데요. 워스트로 뽑힌 분은 무슨 굉장히 많은 썰들을 풀었다고 생각해요.
많은
자기.
자기. 마음이 아프다. 이렇게 할까?
하나, 둘, 셋.
준비 많이 했어? 저 가서 세팅 좀만 하면 돼요. 오늘은 빨리 좀 부탁해. 때문에 오래 걸리니? 형, 드론이 그러니까 드론이 그러니까 사각 그러니까 디테일이 좀 떨어지시더라고요. 사각
형 게임 내 스타리그 지켜보도록 하겠습니다.
Welcome back, everyone. SSL now going into the winner's match of Group C. Let's see if we get a Terran, which I was personally expecting to have, no matter what, 2 Terrans advance here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sacsri actually crushes through.
Maybe. We're going to go to Kickback, which is the really interesting map with 3 bases in your main, basically. One thing I want to mention about this group, because I've kind of noticed this pattern over the years, when we have a group that looks really close and really good, and the thing is, people look at this and say, well, no, Sacsri's never, gone to the finals, and, Motive's first ASL. No, these guys know exactly how good each other are from playing online all the time, right? So they all know that literally anyone could win this group if they play their best. So I think when the games get like that, where we have a really great group, people take a lot of risks to try to get the edge over everyone else because it is so close. And I think that's what we're seeing here today, is everyone's taking risks against each other, and just it's not going well for some of these players.
All right, guys, we're going to go into Game 3 right now. We're going to be on Kickback, guys. Let's get into this, see who's going to be the first survivor of Group C.
Let's see a 4-pull Tasteless. Sacsri, are you man enough to 4-pull?
It is one of those things where you have 1 or 2 cheesy games, and you're like, somehow this means all the games have to be cheesy, right?
No, it's just this map has a perfect wall at every location for Terran. So whenever there's a perfect wall, 4-pull becomes very good.
So the reason why Tastosis is saying that is when you can do a perfect wall, it's really tempting to go for a macro build, and the 4-pull just kills that.
Yeah. Well, your depots and racks being so far forward, it's really hard to block.
Right. Quick question here. I used to know this, and it was one of the early things when there's a point where you get so into StarCraft when you start playing and you're trying to learn builds that eventually you actually start to really lab stuff out. And this is one of the first things I learned, and I used to remember it. Now I don't. But the speed of rushes, 4-pull is what, 4 or 5 seconds faster than a 5-pull, right?
It's something like that. I don't know the exact amount. It is faster,
and then,
but yeah, it's not
and then
a huge amount.
7-pull is actually just a few seconds more than that. It's actually crazy when you look at it.
Yeah.
And by the way, a couple seconds is a lot when it comes to an all-in rush like that.
And the thing is, when you do let's say a 7-pull versus a 4-pull, right? The 7-pull is not very much. You have to get a very specific amount of damage to recover. Right? With a 4-pull, you have to basically win the game directly, but it's quicker, so it's more likely to. With a 7-pull, it's okay, well, the weirdly specific amount of damage you have to do makes this. It's actually weaker than 4-pull. 4-pull is a higher win rate build than a 7-pull, even though 7-pull is only a few seconds slower and, has more drones, 50% more drones mining for most of it. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, and there's certain matchups where maybe a 7-pull isn't a terrible idea. I know we saw Sulky do that against a Terran. I can't remember the name of the map.
On Road.
Against Light.
Road something. Roadhouse or something.
Road Rage or Roadkill.
Yeah, something. Roadkill, I think, is actually it. Yeah.
I don't think it's Roadkill, is it?
I think it was Roadkill.
Okay. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different types of rushes you can do. We should remind everybody that these expansions that you're near are not as mineral rich as they look. So you can see people take bases very quickly, and it can give you the impression it's going to be a certain type of game, but they do mine out very fast.
Yeah. 3 hatch before pool here for Sacsri.
Yeah.
So, it's just a regular expansion timing for Rush. He's playing it very safe, but 3 hatch before pool with 3 gases, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. The one thing to mention, the important thing, I guess, is these geysers only have 3,000 at the expansions instead of 5,000.
Right.
Okay, so the amount of time it takes for them to mine out and go down to 2 gas per trip is very, very fast, right? So basically, you mine them, and it takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes after you start mining, they'll be, not empty all the way. Obviously, you still get the 2 gas, but 2 of them turn into half of a gas. So it's just something to keep in mind where, this is going to be really strong for a bit, but if Sacsri starts going a little bit all in with it and doesn't continually expand, he will run out of gas much, much earlier, so you can almost play a more defensive game as Terran.
So we've got, you know, a game where not a lot can happen right now, just because they're both fast expanding. You know, I look at this map and I think, wow, it's got to be nice, you know, for Terran to be able to get bases that quickly. I mean, I don't think we have had a map that has had an easier third base in this, or at least I can't think of one in recent memory. But, you know, it does also seem like later on, Terran really doesn't have an easy base to take for a fourth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That is the thing. You have to go pretty far out to get that fourth. So you'd think that it's going to be like a 3-base timing, but there's not really a 3-base timing in this matchup. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm excited that these two are playing here because Rush plays normally pretty standard in the matchup. And I've actually had a very hard time playing TVZ on this map so far, so I'm actually like I'm staring at this trying to figure out what to do. Oh, man. Hydralisk Den here for Sacsri. Wait a second.
Wait.
Oh, my gosh. I wish we could control the camera. Is this 3-hatch Hydra?
I had just, in my mind, I guess I was deciding a layer was coming along.
It is.
Yeah, there's no layer.
Oh,
okay.
my God.
Whoa.
So cheesy.
Okay. Whoa. So, to be honest, I mean, look, 3-hatch Hydra is really rare. Like, every once in a while we have a game where someone does this, and I think last one we had was like J-Dong versus Flash or something.
I believe you're actually right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so rare that it stands out. It's like, oh, okay. But I mean, the reality is Hydras are actually just not good on their own against Medic Marine. It's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of doing this is that, and we were just talking about, wow, Terran can get 3 bases pretty fast, right? So maybe he's expecting this to be so teched up or macro oriented that he can just blindside him with a timing attack that you just basically never see. The problem is that there's plenty of barracks down here. And so there's going to be a lot of Medic Marine, right? Like, this should be somewhat manageable.
Well, he's going to supply block him almost instantaneously, right? So there's one, and then, I mean, Hydra's kill buildings so quickly. So he's going to be able to supply block him. So what you see is what you get on the bio for the next 25 seconds, and then the build time of Marines. So that's really rough. Already going to kill a production structure as well. But yeah, that is a lot of bio. You know, maybe he was expecting fast expansion into mech or a Valkyrie rush or something. The fact that Rush did go additional barracks. Like, Rush is playing a very safe day here. And suddenly Sacsri's position doesn't look so good. I think he already has to transition. I already think that this is hopeless.
No, this is failed. By the way, I mean, I think most people know this, but it's worth repeating. Like, there's a reason why you see certain unit compositions in StarCraft matchups and not just any composition, you know? I'm sure when everybody was playing the game back in like BGH or, you know, these infinite money maps and, you know, you're like, oh, this is the unit I go for. I do this. But there's a reason why you don't see a bunch of Hydras like you do in a Protoss versus Zerg, for instance, or Zerg versus Protoss, excuse me. There's a reason why you don't see this basically ever. And this is only intended to hit at a moment that's unusual. But Rush is doing something very basic. He's kind of going for the bread and butter play here. And Stim Marines just beat this. I mean, the medics just give enough sustain, and the Marines are so high in number, the Hydras can't really distribute enough damage across all of them to do anything. I mean, this game is a disaster.
Well, our third disaster in a row. This is, this is Faces of Death StarCraft version.
Yeah, this is like StarCraft, what is it, Live Leak or whatever. This is all the games you weren't supposed to see at the highest level playing out. Now, you know, the unfortunate thing for Sacsri is, like, he looks like a genius if this works, and he looks like a fool when he doesn't.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not working.
Yeah, if it was a Valkyrie Rush, there's a very good chance he would have won with that. And Valkyrie Rush is going to be very common in this position. So,
and you can just see how much better Medic Marine are as fighters. Like, you know, when it gets low, the Hydras can't kill them. And, I mean, keep in mind, these Marines are cheaper than the Hydras.
Yeah.
If you think about that for a second. And this is why so much of this matchup is about Lings and Mutas and getting Lurkers. Because the Hydra is just not a unit that can fight well. It's not like it's fighting against Zealots where it can kite it or snipe Templars. This is just basically one set of range units that's better than the other set of range units. GG. Rush maybe having the easiest day of his entire StarCraft career.
Probably the easiest day anyone ever had in a StarLeague group, like literally in the history.
Yeah.
Because he didn't do anything in the first game. He just made stuff and then, you know, the motive imploded. And here he just did a normal build. He saw greed and he's like, well, I'm not going to counter greed too hard. I'm just going to play a normal game. And Sacsri's like, but my greed was followed up by an all-in that needed you to do a specific play. And I can't blame him for doing it because, again, I think a lot of Terrans in that position, like if Royal's there, he's probably Valkyrie rushing. And that Hydralisk rush probably beats that because you're going to have like 5-6 Marines. So an okay plan, but Rush just stomps and gets out of the group in first place.
Yeah, we're going to just, I guess, recap this with the push. But, you know, there's not a whole lot to say. I almost wish they would have shown the Hydras hitting the entrance. You know, if this was a build where Terran was trying to tech in an unusual way, the Hydras, it would have been a much more exciting game for sure. But, I mean, this is just a straight up, you know, make stuff and move out on the map moment. You know, we've all had a game on ladder where we're paired with somebody who's not at our level. And you're kind of, you going through the motions was enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one guy knowing a chess opening and the other person just doesn't know the chess opening. And so no matter what happens, they're just in a worse spot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is what happens with the risks. And, you know, Rush he played it well. It's not even a hard position. It's just like he has enough. And, you know, Sacsri didn't really have a lot to do. When you're doing a build to hard counter something, right, and they don't do it, like you said, right, like if it works, he looks like a genius. It's like, yeah, he knew he'd do that, so he beat him with it. And then it's like, but he didn't do it, so he gets wrecked.
Yeah, nobody willing to play a conventional game so far except for Rush. Interview time, guys.
You're watching Group C of the 2024 SSL Autumn Season as we have our first player advancing through to the round of 16 today. Let's have a word with Rush. Congratulations. Thank you. A result befitting a Tier 1 player, a Tier 1 Terran player coming in from Rush. This is your 9th round of 16 in a row. How are you feeling? I prepared so much for this and I didn't end up showing more than 10% of what I had, which I'm a little discontent with. But you now have a chance to show all of that one stage higher in the round of 16. It's more like you can see this round of 24 as a warm-up, right? That's true. If we look back at your match against Motive, your face was a cornucopia of colorful expressions, if I might say so, before you actually went back and watched that replay. What was going through your head, I wonder? So, for starters, before I checked, this was a 3-player map, so I went into it looking to scout my opponent ASAP. I went into his base and saw no pylon, which made me play thinking there was a center 9 gate. But the Zealot never came, so I was like, what is he doing? I looked, and I couldn't find anything. But then my Vulture went into his main base, and well, that was that. However you look at it, you're a really strong Terran, and it's something your opponent must have thought about too. After winning that first game, you went on to play against Sacsri. You stopped his first wave of Hydralisks, and then, even after seeing his Sunkens, you tried to break him with Marine Medic. Did you think that would have been enough? Well, Sacsri started off with a greedy 3-hatch before pull, made a ton of drones. I got flustered and thought I would be really behind in terms of macro. You know, I nearly went for factory play back at home. I didn't delete it. I guess he saw that factory and thought I would be playing mech. So I just decided to take the 2 racks I had. I fought the Hydralisks and then pressured with it, and the game just ended. I bet this tenacity of yours is making a lot of players nervous. Today, likewise, was very impressive as you stormed through the matches with ease. Now, starting with the round of 16, you will have a chance to show your true worth. Show what you've got. What will the round of 16 be like? I've been on a slump recently, I've been losing a lot, but it's because of that. I've been paying more attention to my practice and I'm more energized. I think if I prepare and sleep well, I should be able to make it to the quarterfinals. It'll be interesting to see what milestone in your career this season turns out to be. Any words for your fans, colleagues, or family? Let's start with my practice partners. Stork, Hero Shine, YSC Sharp, and JYJ, thanks for your help. I am part of the Chongsun StarCraft University team, and my colleague Queen got knocked out, so I'll do well and advance instead. Thanks to Pak Kwani, the boss of our university team, to Zeus, and to our other members as well. To my wife cheering for me at home, and the fans that supported me, thank you. Once again, congratulations on advancing to the round of 16. Thanks for the interview. Thank you. And there you have it. Rush is our first player advancing out of Group C today. We will be back in just a few with the losers and elimination matches to determine our second place finisher.
박힌 건 그만. 구속은 사양할게. 부담 없는 게 좋아. 통신을 내 방식대로. Live my life. Live M.
Welcome back, everybody. We just keep getting better and better games
Oh,
today.
man.
But let's go back. Let's do a little throwback here to the guy that started it all, Motive. He set the course.
He did.
I can't explain it, and it's mystifying to me, but it just seems like when we get a couple weird games, things just get weirder for that day. This is going to be Motive versus Royal. Again, for all the jokes we've been making, Motive is a really good player, and it's really cool that he's here. And I hope we do get a great game from him. This is a map, by the way. You could do a lot of cheeses. This is a matchup. I think out of all the maps, if you have two-player spawn maps, in other words, players don't have to scout to find their opponent, PvT probably is the cheesiest, with Protoss having all the cheese.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Protoss can completely dictate the course of the game, right? Like, they decide, okay, am I going to gas steal? Am I going to proxy gate? Right? Am I going to continue that pressure? Am I going to try to expand? It's really up to Protoss because Terran just has, like, very few counterplays that they have to decide upon, and some of them lead to dead ends very quickly. So yeah, this map is kind of an interesting one. I haven't had that many games here yet, but I've definitely seen quite a few as well. It's really interesting with the layouts, how like some of the expansions kind of can be hit by both sides. There are definitely some tight chokes which can help with Terran pushes later on. But there's a lot of paths, so a lot of counterattack paths available as well, but some of them take a bit longer to get around, right? So really an interesting two-player map. I have no idea how this map is going to end up. I feel like a lot of two-player maps, we start out and we're like, okay, this is kind of okay, and then it turns into a steaming pile of garbage by the end of the season. But we'll see on this one. This one looks promising to me.
It does feel like we may find out that this map is painfully inhibitive with movement, just looking at the shape in the middle, which might be cool. I don't know. I did play, I got one game queued up. It seems like a lot of people on Battle.net have this map turned off.
Yeah.
I got one game on this, and I will tell you, it didn't go well. It's hard to move around. You know, moving around in general in StarCraft Brood War is a very big headache.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to... so, you know, sometimes maps like this really can cause some problems, but they can make for some interesting plays, especially when you have two really good players. Motive with a very tailored build for his opponent and the map in Game 1 that should have worked. Let's see what he's got ready for us here in Game 2. Or Game 2 for him. Game 4 for the group.
Thanks, Stasis.
God, you got it.
Thanks for clarifying that. I was actually getting confused.
That's why I'm
like,
the
did we
best.
just start? That's wild.
But tasteless. There's been 4 games. Okay, Royal in the bottom right, Motive in the top left. I'm watching to see if workers are going to be leaving the base right away or not. Let's not forget that, you know, that loss that Motive suffered, pain and humiliation. I mean, obviously that's always something that is a part of competition and is a, you know, you have to be able to handle your losses. You got to know how to learn and recover. But it's pretty rare to see a fail that epic at a pro level match.
Yeah.
That would make a type of loss that's that embarrassing. And that's gonna only be compounded by the fact that this is this guy does not get into StarLeagues.
Yeah.
He's mostly been a ladder monster, and so he's kind of worked his way up to this moment. And look, he's still in the tournament. He could very well you know, win here and move on. But I mean, it's going to be tough to get out of that mindset for sure.
Well, he's going for the gas steal, so that's something at least. I think that that's a very good choice. There's absolutely no reason not to gas steal in two-player maps. It just it really, really messes with Terran.
Well, this map especially in this spawn, because the gas, when it's at the top, when it's close to the ramp, it's really good.
And he's going to go ahead and take that. And yeah, I mean, you'd have to cancel an SCV to even have a chance of getting it, and then that might go wrong, and you're just like, oh no. So he gets the gas, and now, you know, there's a bunch of questions. Like, does he make multiple zealots and send them across? Does he go up into an expansion very quickly? Does he go into tech more quickly and get some Dragoons out? And each one of those requires a completely different way to play for Royal here that he's going to have to scout out and figure out.
Yeah, you know, out of all the matchups, this is the matchup where one race is more dependent on gas than any other. Even PVZ, I feel like the stuff Protoss can do, the Terran's more dependent on the gas. Yeah, I think so.
Well, I would say in the early game, it's like Terran getting slowed down on this gas is huge, but I feel like PVZ is the ultimate I need additional gas matchup. You know?
Because I suppose that's true. I guess that you can 2-gate, you can do...
Yeah.
I mean, Zealots can fight. There are you know, ways to cannon rush. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna, the longer the game goes, the more you need the gas. But Protoss can at least kind of hang with the Zerg on low, or on late or delayed gas. Terran, they need to move past this and get gas no matter what.
Yeah, in the early game,
the reality,
Artosis,
is that we're a quarter of a century into StarCraft, and so people are so good at managing this. But this was maybe viewed as the most broken thing there was. And so,
the gas steal,
Terrans,
you mean?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I still view it as that. It's so crazy how much it dictates the flow of the game. In this particular one, like we see that Royal actually has a very nice counterplay to what's going on, but Motive getting in here, he's got that probe as well. You can see how much the probe makes a difference, a huge difference.
Yeah,
that would have been
helps a lot in the fight.
It would have been incredibly one-sided without the probe. Like he would have lost 1 Marine and say he loses 3. So probe helps out a lot. Still making those Marines, and he should be fine here with that bunker coming up, I think.
Yeah, I think the bunker is going to put this to rest. It is possible to run the Zealot by, though. That's one of the things, is the Zealot can't beat the bunker, but so what? It's got so many shields and takes so many Marine hits to get anything done. Why would you not just send this in here and cause damage that way?
Very good blocking. Royal's micro really on point here. And yeah, he does get a little bit more damage there, but he's done enough damage to the Zealot. He can go down and kind of reload that bunker. It takes 3 Marines, really, to kill a Zealot. So he wants to keep that number relatively high. But the game looks like pretty even here. In fact, I would say killing the Zealots there, as a Terran player, I'd be like, okay, I feel like I'm, maybe slightly ahead. There's not a lot going on for Motive. He spent a lot on Zealots, and they didn't get any real damage. And Royal got that command center down so quick, man. It was actually very impressive.
Fun little bit of history here. When people figured the gas deal out, there was this whole weird, short-lived phase of people messing with gas deals in the other matchups.
Yeah.
That, didn't really pan out because they don't, the idea of investing in building on your opponent's gas, like let's say in a PVZ or something.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they just don't need, they can just make more hatches and lings and deal with this later. But yeah, this is going to go into the macro game here. By the way, all the Koreans pretty much always just do the expand build now. It's always Zealots into expand, and just let the Terran kind of play from behind from here.
Yeah, and I think that is the best way. In fact, a lot of people go eBay block at that natural because of that. We didn't see that this game. And one thing to note is that Motive did kind of a high econ gas steal. He made the gate in his main base as opposed to at the front of his natural. If you put it at the front of your natural, the Zealot pressure does more, but you lose more economy, by sending the probe out more early to make the pylon, make the gateway, and all that. So lots of little choices kind of getting us to this spot right now. The SCV unable to scout what's going on. Good block there from Motive. And, of course, we saw down in the base of Royal, he's gone for 2 factories into Armory Academy, which he likes quite a bit right now. He's been doing some modified upgrade Terran plays recently since Flash started doing them on the ladder. But honestly, I haven't liked that as much out of Royal. He's always been an upgrade Terran. Like, he loves upgrade Terran in general. And even though, for those of you who are unaware, right, Flash is back playing on the ladder. He's been at the top of the ladder, and he's been doing a lot of older builds. And all the Terrans started following him. He's like the Pied Piper of Terrans. It's like he starts doing builds, and then the builds start popping up. And the thing is, upgrade Terran, which is just getting a very fast armory and a very fast 2-1, has been out of style for a long time because of Snow's Reavers into gateways and stuff that have been really, really strong that all the Protoss do. But Flash has been doing it, so Royal's been doing it again, and I don't feel like he's had a very good win rate with it, to be honest. Yeah,
I mean, that was another play that just became so foundational for TVP. That I feel like in the modern era, I think you can't just rely on that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I find Terrans that do other stuff, it's just harder to deal with because every Protoss player had to learn exactly how to play versus that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Flash has such an influence. I mean, I think sometimes people don't realize how much the metagame really is at play.
Yeah.
Where people can look at it like what somebody's doing who's the best and think, well, this is the best way to play. And the truth is we don't really... Oh, my God, that's a big scam.
That's the greatest scam.
Saw that the moment it got thrown down.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But, yeah, people can look at, what the best player's doing and think, well, this is, in fact, the best and most correct way to play the game. But it's possible that, maybe the maps that are being played at that time or just that person is, in really good shape. Or there's all these other factors, right? But when you have especially big public matches like this, it impacts the way that everybody else behaves, right? Because, we're all students of the person that's better than us. So sometimes you'll have like matchups, and this is true for other games, not even just RTS, but some of the best players are approaching the matchup in a way that turns out to be wrong, or maybe even obsolete, but they're too slow to change it. Cancels a Stargate, by the way.
Beautiful.
And what happens is that people are just, they're hooked on what the metagame is, and they're not thinking outside the box enough to get a solution. But yeah, with Flash being active again, it does seem like some of his more go-to styles of play have reemerged here.
Yeah, so I have to throw a couple things out here. First off, it didn't turn into Upgrade Terran. It's turned into a 5-factory timing. And Motive's cancel there of the Stargate is gigantic, right? So if you see the Stargate, you're assuming Reaver, so you'll do a slightly slower push because your opponent will have slightly less gateway units, and you can really build to a critical mass that'll be very cost efficient. Also, Zealot legs will come a lot later. Zealot legs normally don't get started till after carriers, but when he canceled the Stargate and then added gates, if you go up to 6 to 8 gates here with Speed Shuttle Reaver slowing him down and get your legs relatively quickly, it should be able to crush this build that Royal's doing. Not necessarily, if there's good control and stuff and he takes good engagements, Royal can still win. This game has a ton of play in it, but I think strategically right now, Motive is outplaying Royal for sure.
Yeah, well, I think he getting his tech spot baited Royal into an attack, and now that the carriers aren't a threat, Terran may be moving in a little bit too quick and go right into a perfectly timed out push. So, especially with Reavers, you can really whittle this down. Terran is more prone to overextend when they're trying to scramble across the map just to kill, carriers before they come out. And so, he's got to pick that up. Okay.
Perfect control from Royal. Truly, truly excellent leapfrogging on his siege tanks, keeping maximum range. Like, this is, like, he's exactly outside of Reaver range at every moment. Third Reaver comes down. Motive having a little bit of a hard time spending his money right now. He's right next to a supply block as well. And, like, we're getting into the position where if you get this entrenched, there's no way Motive's going to stop you.
He's going to fire, but the Reavers are a little bit separated here. He actually kills all of the Reavers. Now, did he do enough damage? Can the Dragoons and Zealot topple this?
I think
know. That actually they can. Hold on, there's tanks below the screen.
Yeah, there is one tank below, and there's more Goliaths coming out. So the fact that you see the Goliaths, I think he still thinks it might be carrier. We still don't have Zealot legs. Yeah, maybe he does hold it. Maybe you're right about it. I thought that Royal was going to be able to kill him there when he got into that position, got a turret up. Like, that's normally the moment where you're like, yeah, Terran's doing well. But he flies in here with the shuttle. Oh, dropping a probe out. What a killer. But he will pick off the tanks, and really, that's the backbone. And look at this. He's making all Goliaths. He has no idea he's been duped.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit weird at this point in time that the Goliaths are still there. A scan, and he realizes, okay, I've been tricked.
Yep.
And Motive's in a really good spot. I mean, all the tanks that were built up for this whole game are gone.
Yep.
He's going to switch back into Vultures, but he basically found out at the last possible moment, and it was after. I guess it was long past the moment that would have mattered, right? It was after the push failed. He scans and goes, "Oh, okay."
Yep.
And the truth is, guys, you don't want Goliaths unless you need to snipe shuttles at a really long range, or obviously if carriers are going to be a thing.
Yeah.
So,
and he's got like 12 of them right now. Like, it's super wasteful. Like you said, he lost all his tanks, so that's a ton of gas he's put into that. He doesn't have a third. The fourth base is getting started by Motive. Motive's in complete control now. Like, there was definitely a window there where it looked like Royal was doing well. Oh, man. Well, that's good at least. That's going to make him feel a little bit better. But definitely Motive is in a very good spot now.
So, at this point in time, it's going to be really uphill for Royal. I mean, he can still win. He's going to have access to a third base. I think a fourth base is also hard to get on this map, just kind of looking at things in general. I guess you maybe could try to just push to the middle of the map and hold that. I don't know. I haven't really thought about PvT that much in this map, but yeah, it does seem like a map where like Terran really can't get very much, right?
Well, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about what the expansion pattern should be. Obviously, where Royal's taking his third makes sense for the third base, but where is that fourth supposed to be? Are you supposed to go to the north and be really spread out, or do you try to take the center and play one of those games? I mean, center base is Terran versus Protoss is the time we see center bases actually taken in this game more often than any other, right? So maybe there's a possibility that you go for that and you just kind of react to where the army is. In fact, as I'm saying that, I'm kind of selling it to myself. I'm like, ooh, that does sound kind of nice.
Well, he's going to push through the bottom. I don't know if he actually saw this coming at all. This is the worst feeling ever, by the way, if you miss it on the mini-map or you just don't have vision, is that they just suddenly have siege tanks and mines here, and you're like, oh, I've lost the game.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't delay them from pushing, you're going to lose.
Yeah, how does he actually stop this? Oh my god, the shuttle flies in and is just going to get picked off. Oh no. Motive had gotten himself into a strong position, and suddenly that position falling apart. Yeah, you're very right, though. Like, if you don't see it and then there's mines and tanks set up, if you attack into that, you're not only going to lose your expansion, you're going to lose your army. it's just you can't really do much against that if you completely missed it, as Motive has.
Okay, the push is going to come in now.
Ooh.
And, I mean, dude, this is getting so thinned out. I think that he can actually maybe still win this fight. God, but I mean, this is a very uneven trade. In fact, you know what? He will not win this fight. That is incredible.
I thought you were talking about Royal. Like, yeah, no, that setup was too good. Now, this is sad because Motive came in here with great ideas, just not great execution of those ideas. He came in with ideas that could get him to the round of 16, but his normal level of play, like, if he had done these builds on the ladder, I bet you he would be 2-0 and get out, and, you know. But what we're looking at, it's just, he's completely fallen apart now. Royal is picking him apart.
You know, it's too bad. Execution is key. I mean, he clearly has the knowledge. We know he's put the time in. But, yeah, very shaky on his execution. Especially that attack there that we saw. Like, it didn't seem like his units were all grouped up, right? There was enough things kind of like ants moving in a line where you really needed to have everything kind of together. And so the damage was spread very evenly. Terran's going to be on 4 bases while Protoss is on 2.
Yeah, I guess that's
this is really bad.
Yeah, look how turtled that position is, too. Kind of reminds me of some older type maps with a really tight base that's like really hard to attack. Well, he is going through some of these smaller areas to try to clear out some of the harassment that Royal's been doing. Royal is in a huge amount of control. I think to come back in a game like this, you have to rely on Psystorm super heavily. Wow, great EMP there, too.
In this game.
Yeah,
that
probably
was
not.
Beautiful.
Probably not. It seems impossible. He's mining on 2 bases.
Yeah. Too bad, man. You know, I mean, it's a fate that we kind of expect when you've got a new, you know, new as far as, you know, the viewers probably haven't seen him, you know. He hasn't been in a StarLeague. You know, hardcore StarCraft fans that watch, you know, Africa TV, I guess now SOOP, I'm still getting used to this, would know him. But yeah, it's tough to see and expected to see him not advance here and not be able to hang against someone like Royal, who has previously won an ASL.
Yeah. But, you know, he definitely did some things well, missed that push out, unfortunately, and that brings Royal back into the game because he sacrifices his whole army. If he hadn't sacked his whole army, if instead he just, like, when that hit, runs the probes, makes another Nexus somewhere, and moves his entire army around the map a little bit, you know, Royal's entire army was in the bottom left, so why are you bringing your entire army to run through the meat grinder? You know, hit somewhere else.
You can always counterattack, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the Terrans in a position that you're not going to get, you gotta counterattack.
Yeah.
It's all about doing those counters.
It really is. Such a huge part of Protoss vs. Terran is finding good counters as opposed to running into what Terran wants you to. And you know, Motive is gonna look at this later. GG. He's gonna look at these games and be really sad about how they went. But honestly, I feel like he should be a little proud too. He's finally made it into ASL. His planning was very, very good. The first game build, I think, was an excellent choice, even though it went completely wrong. And the canceling of that Stargate there, excellent choice. He just didn't follow up with good play.
Yeah. It was a pleasure casting his games. I hope he makes it back here. to play again.
I think he will.
was especially excited to see him. You know, he's been here since the beginning of StarCraft and is finally getting into these StarLeagues. Yeah.
Well, that is a win for Royal, who will go up to play Sacsri again for that final spot from this group. It's been a little bit of a train wreck of a day, and we'll see if Royal can recover against Sacsri next. We'll be right back.
Stars above are shining bright, neon glow and endless night. Freedom's calling, take my hand. Together we will make a stand. Lose yourself and let it go. In this moment, feel the show. All the world is ours to take. Live the dream with every shake and sky. Won't stop tonight, burning bright. We'll see lights, can't stop. Won't stop this way. Dance until break our day.
틀에 박힌 건 그만. 구속은 사양할게. 부담 없는 게 좋아. 통신을 내 방식대로. Live my life. Live M.
Look at the sky so blue. Wishing I never knew you. Tears falling like rain. You'll never see me again. Packed up my suitcase tight. Gone before morning light. Left nothing but pain. You'll never see me again. I'm moving on, my friend. This heartbreak has to end. Loneliness in the wind. You'll never see me again. Pictures in a drawer. Don't need them anymore. I'm breaking this chain. You'll never see me again. I'm moving on, my friend. This heartbreak has to end. Loneliness in the wind. You'll never see me again. Gone without a sound. No more lost and found. A new life I begin. You'll never see me again. Gone without a sound. No more lost and found. A new life I begin. You'll never see me again. I'm moving on, my friend. This heartbreak has to end. so bright. Through battles and through fight, we find our way to light. Side by side we unite. In shadows we'll ignite. No need for flight or fight. Together we're alright. Can be heroes just for today. We can be heroes, never fade away. Roads are rough, but we climb through mountains of time. In chaos, there's a rhyme. We conquer every climb. Face a strong, fearless gaze in the night, just a face in this endless maze. We light up and blaze. We can be heroes just for today. We can be heroes, never fade away. We stand tall, lead a light. Higher and higher.
Welcome back, everybody. One will move on, the other will be out. This is going to be a great match, I think.
Yeah.
Royal versus Sacsri. I mean, I think this is could go either way. We've definitely had some pretty epic fails from these guys, but I don't think this is necessarily going to be a cheesy game.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I honestly would like to see Sacsri do something very aggressive at the beginning, just because Royal takes a lot of risk, I guess I could say, right? Like he's a sick optimizer who wants to get ahead at the beginning of the game, and I think that just throwing wrenches into that plan is generally a good choice.
Pantheon is going to be our map, and I guess this is the moment we get to see. Okay, there's the belly button of the map. I was about to say, what are they going to draw here? Sometimes these are like super informative, telestrated segments. Sometimes I'm like, all right, what is it that you know about the map, Korean casters?
Well, they know it's a donut because it's got that hole in the center.
That's right.
But the size of the hole compared to the map, it might be a bagel, actually.
Yeah, well, as long as we know that it's that and not another type of pastry, I'm fine with it.
Yep.
So they're going to highlight these little cross areas over here.
Yeah, those are four-way ramps. We really haven't had too many maps that have things like that, but that's like generally going to be your third base in a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
So yeah, just something to keep in mind there. That is a high ground. It's basically the mains, the mineral-only bases, and then those little lifted places with the plus signs on them. Those are all the high grounds on the map.
Yeah.
Or actually, I'm sorry, the mains are not high ground. They're like Citadel mains where they have the double ramp coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
It does seem like a map that could get a little claustrophobic. Doesn't feel like there's that much room to move around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens here. This should make for what could be a pretty long TVZ, I think. Looks like Zerg can turtle up.
Oh, yeah.
Go into late game. Guys, we're ready for our game. Let's close out Group C and find out who advances.
We are magic in the air. We are love, we are care. We are here for the ride. Trying to fun side by side.
Okay. We have Royal here in the bottom left. And Sacsri here in the bottom right. Guys, one more plug here for the Patreon. Consider signing up. We appreciate it. If you've been meaning to do it but haven't made an account, we hope to give you that final push. We really appreciate the support. And you guys are allowing us to continue to keep this amazing game and all the stories that happen inside of it alive. And you know, it's funny, no matter how much history there is in these other esport titles, they're always going to be playing catch-up. They're always going to be playing second fiddle to StarCraft. How funny is that?
That is a fact. You don't have such a crazy, undisturbed storyline in anything like you have in StarCraft. And, like, even you look at it and it's like, StarCraft 2 is actually part of that storyline as well, right? Where most of these pros went to StarCraft 2. Sacsri's a champion in StarCraft 2, and he's back in StarCraft 1 here fighting for a round of 16 slot in the hardest tournament in StarCraft 1. So, yeah, it's awesome. Now, a 9-pool opener. So Sacsri does want to get aggressive. But as long as Royal makes a barracks instead of a command center, he should be all right.
Yeah, 9-pool with speed. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought for a second, you know, when the fact that he got an extractor there, which, by the way, 9-pool with speed is not that common, so that's a little bit of a relief. But he will have some attacking that he can do over here.
Yeah, the 9-pool, just to make this clear, right? Like, it's not the greatest economy, but it auto wins against any center barracks play, and it auto wins against command center first, which both of those are things that Royal mixes in. So I think it's a good choice. This is kind of what I wanted him to do, is some sort of early aggression. Unfortunately, he's going to hit a wall, and Royal's scouting him first. So Royal's not going to take damage here, likely.
You know, it's funny when I saw the extractor go down, because, you know, obviously I'm not a Terran or a Zerg player, right? So my relationship to some of the builds is always a little bit weird. But for a split second, I thought, well, what could this possibly be? And I thought, oh my God, is it going to be that one-hatch lurker cheese? That was like, I mean, super old, but I thought, well, I mean, I guess if the guy macros or doesn't scout, I guess that would work as well. But instead, this is just going to be, you know, a way to open up and deny losing to any silliness. While Terran is just basically playing a very safe game, very conservative game, walling up over here.
And Royal crossing his T's and dotting his I's by sending out a secondary SCV as he runs this one home. So he'll let this one be seen running home. The second one will go in for a second scout just to make sure nothing insane is happening. And, yeah, he's going to be feeling pretty darn good about this. Nice repair. And this is already held. Look at that. Perfect hold.
Zerg, you could actually see in Sacsri's face there, him kind of biting his lips for a second, like, it would have been better if he didn't even attack at all there. He got nothing done.
Nothing. The position is very strong for Royal right now. But, you know, there's, oh, man, 321 layer? Oh, Tastosis. If I'm Royal right now, I'm trying to think about who I want to pick in group selection. That's a very late layer.
This is now going to, I don't know, man. I mean, everything's so behind.
You can do everything as Royal here. Like, you can do anything you want. Factory, +1, extra racks, anything.
To just be super clear to someone who might not follow what we're saying here, the reason why it matters that the layer is late is because that means the Spire's late.
Yes.
Or even if he were to do like the alternative tech and go for lurkers or something, that's late. And the truth is, Zerg really, once Terran's walled in, Zerg can literally not do anything to the Terran at all until layer tech. So the fact that this is late means Terran has so much more oxygen, so much more ways to tech and relax, and most importantly, make turrets later, which means you can get your barracks up faster, you can make more SCVs.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable, and it does seem like this matchup specifically really is hinged on forcing Terran to defend and respect and turtle in order to actually have the Zerg in a healthy spot later on. The fact that the layer is this late means that Terran is going to be so comfortable and so uninhibited in the next minute or two here that it's really scary.
He's got non-stop production, and he's actually playing a very safe build as well. Like, I think he's kind of cued in on what's going on here. The fact that he got that type of lead and went Academy just shows he's like, yeah, I'm not going to lose. It's not about winning. He's like, there's no way you can kill me now. If you go for a very fast Academy like this behind a wall, your comm stats come up in time, your stim, your range. You basically, it's invincible. Like, this is the build I do on ladder because you just don't die to anything with this build. And look, he's even going 3 racks, which is hilarious because 3 racks is kind of like gone out of the metagame a little bit because it doesn't do anything super well. But again, it doesn't die. Unkillable. So whatever Sacsri does from here, he's going to have to continue to build towards a later game, which is exactly what Royal wants after such a nice opener.
So the bunker's going to come down here. Infantry moving out now. Again, that later layer here. I mean, he's scanning. He sees that mutas are still far away from hatching. And therefore, not close to his base. So comfortably, he can set up all the turrets he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Terran just start to move into the middle of the map. This is getting so much more common, Tastosis. Can you tell me, in your ladder games, are you seeing more players just take the natural expansion over the main?
Yeah, it's a bit better because if you take the main, it's more defendable because they have to go up a ramp against lurkers. So there's a little bit more damage in the mid game with the natural, but taking the 4th base is 100 times easier. It's very easy to sit at the bottom of a ramp and slow someone down with Marine Medic from taking that additional base. But when they take that, like as soon as that's defended, they can take a 4th base instantly. And the only way to attack it is dropship, which is very predictable, so they counter dropship. So it's a very good way to play. Just adds a little bit of risk in the mid game.
Yeah, because it just seems to be so much more of a trend now.
Yeah.
By the way, the muta's really not getting much done. You can see the Marines are already in the middle of the map. You would much prefer to have your Marines get chased in the middle of the map than have to deal with any damage that could be happening back at home. He's going to do a mutiling run by. This is a pretty smart move, but it looks like Royal's already prepared for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so now these Lings are basically stuck inside the main. They can get some damage done. It looks like he's going to go for some workers, but I mean, the mutas are going to have to get out. And so this is another moment where Sacsri tried to get damage, and it's, you can see the double-edged sword nature of it because he's actually losing more than he's gaining every time he comes in. And this does, if things stay on this course, Royal's going to be unstoppable if we have a couple more moves like this.
Yeah, this looks pretty bad. Like, you got a few SCVs and whatnot, but the defensive Royal is perfect. Like I said, the 3 racks, just, you can't really kill it with anything. You can only hope to get ahead as you go towards the later game because the 3 racks doesn't pressure all that well. But in this situation where the economy's already hurt, Royal can walk out the map. Like, he's going to have his +1 pretty soon. He definitely already has range and stim. That's a very nice and tight turret setup there as well. Sacrifices a little bit of the efficiency of the bottom patches to have those turrets help cover each other. Just really an excellent setup by Royal throughout in this game.
Yeah, I mean, long term, you don't really care if that's going to mine slower, if you can ensure that it's going to be something that just can't be damaged. These Marines moved out. I think Zerg only just now found out about this. And, I mean, the hatch has got to be close to finishing, right? So he has to figure out, do I cancel this or can I defend it? I think there's... Is he going to just wait for it to finish?
Yes. It's the right move.
This is the play. Okay. That was... Zerg...
he canceled at the last second there.
It's so rare to see that. And you might be wondering, isn't it just better to run in there and try to kill it no matter what? Technically, it's better if you let it finish because they lose all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Most games are too chaotic and fast to even allow a calculated move like that, so that's kind of rare to see. But yeah, he's like, no, you know what? If Sacsri is, not on top of it, and clearly Sacsri was just waiting, he was ready to cancel it. But, that is a real play.
Now, Valkyries are about to pop out of here. If he can kill the first 2 Valkyries, maybe there's some sort of chance. Maybe. He's attacking this starport. He's just waiting for those Valkyries to pop. Oh, God, Tasteless.
Oh, my God.
It gets worse.
One's out.
Oh, no. His mutas were not ready. He was not looking there when the Valkyrie popped. His mutas are so damaged. This game is super done.
Did he get one of the Valkyries? Because we just saw one pop out. Where's the other one?
The other one was just started a little bit later. Valkyries are actually really expensive.
Yeah, how much do Valkyries cost? I don't even know.
It's 250 minerals, 125 gas, and 3 supply. So it's like you gotta focus to keep your Valkyrie production going. Like you can't be overspending on barracks and stuff.
That's still less than a scout, though, right?
Scout is 275, 150, I want to say. So yes, everything's less than a scout, except like a carrier and a BC.
I don't know how everything was priced so well in this game. The scout is just an insane purchase that gets no value.
Yeah, it's actually a great unit. It's just, it is overpriced. Like, if you just do the math on it, it costs way more for what it does than anything else in the game. But it's actually, it's a good quality unit, too. It's like, it responds really well. It's actually got good stats and stuff. It's just, they need to make it like 50 minerals less.
Well, then you need the upgrades for it too. The
Yeah,
upgrades
true,
are,
true.
You know, it's like there's seriously so many upgrades for the scout. It's actually crazy. It's like speed and then like scout vision and stuff. But
Yeah. I love that this game is so over. We're talking about scouts right now. But it really is, and you can see the 4 Valks come in. Like, Sacsri's going to GG here. Like, this was his last counterattack to try to make something happen. There's 8 extremely damaged mutas up there. Not a lot going on.
Yeah, not a lot going on, buddy. Muta, you know, I feel for Sacsri because he wants to play this out. You know, this is it's going to be next year before we have another season of this for SSL. But my God, some brutal games here today. You know, again, it's interesting to see the angling by a lot of the players to try to be very preemptive to greed, and it occasionally backfiring here. You know.
Yeah, yeah. You know, he did that 9 pool. The 9 pool super didn't work, and everything's gone wrong at this point. You know, getting that 3rd base canceled. What can you do? He just didn't have enough. Didn't see it coming. Now his new 3rd base going to just be killed off. I mean, it's just a very straightforward game. If you're on ladder or something, you leave a long time ago, like when the Valkyries pop out. But you know, you're in SSL, and as you said, we probably won't have one for. He's gonna have to wait 6 months before he gets his chance again, and he'll be in it. He's in like every single season. But yeah, it's unfortunate. This was a very tough group. Like these, and the funny thing is, the games have actually been the worst out of all the groups. But like, it is a very tough group.
Lurker's going to burrow right on the edge over here. No Vessel. Oh, he even scans. He gets 1 kill. Doesn't decide to dive on that other one. There we go. GG. Sacsri taps out. Royal survives to move on to the round of 16 after a pretty tumultuous Group C.
All right. You know, it's unfortunate to see Sacsri unable to make it, because I think he's right on that brink of the level of being a regular in the round of 16. But Royal and Rush, as you predicted, Tastosis, going forward, not a huge surprise there. They are great players, and you know, players that are definitely capable of going all the way.
Gotta say, a very unexpected series of games here today. You know, even the one that we got that looked like a game, like Motive, you know, playing and then just missing the push. We never really got a normal shake here. It was a series of exceptional games with unusual results. Even seeing the Zerg go for like that, we had twice now Sacsri preempt either tech or greed, and it backfired both times in the matchup.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, it worked the first time, right? And then it failed a couple times. Yeah, Rush playing very normally, and this game, you know, Royal playing very normally. You know, you can't always predict what your opponent's going to do, but these guys are taking risks here and there and trying to win with that, and this is what happens sometimes.
Yeah, a bit of a sloppy closer there as well. I mean, losing a lot of those mutas earlier on. Yeah, man. Feels bad, but, you know, this is what we got to do in the round of 24. We got to get rid of these weaker players. We're going to have an interview in a second here with Royal, former ASL champion here, hungry to win this SSL. And see how he's feeling, man.
And that wraps up Group C of the round of 24 of KB Live Mobile 2024 SSL Autumn, with Royal being our second player to advance to the round of 16 today. Congratulations. Thank you. This is your 8th round of 16 in a row. Let's hear how you're feeling. I thought today would be tough, and I barely managed to advance with such difficulty. I was so anxious, I'm all drenched in sweat. The games were so hard, they must have given you a headache. Now, there is one fan with a cheerful in the crowd that says since season 14 you have been advancing with a loss, win, win, that you're always advancing through the elimination match. What makes things so difficult for you in the round of 24? I can assure you that's not by design. I get nervous in the first game somehow. I was likewise nervous in the first game against Sacsri. Like, I knew the links would come,
대비가 안 되더라고요.
But I didn't prepare.
손이 안 머리는 아는데
My hands
손이
just
안
wouldn't move.
움직여가지고 대비가 안 되더라고요. 근데 첫 경기 하고 나니까 좀
But luckily, after that first game, I managed to calm down and started to play properly.
한번 호되게 매를 맞은 덕분에 최종전에서
But thanks to having been hit by
이재훈
Sacsri in the
선수의
first
적응이
game, you
그렇게
didn't succumb to his
당해지지
Ling Muter in the
않았어요.
elimination match. You got your emotions under control.
긴장을 풀고 나서
You calmed
승리를
down.
얻은 김지성 선수였는데 지금 원선재
You managed to
선수와의
win.
경기에서도
And now,
원선재 선수가
in the game against
스캔을 통해서
Motive,
캐리어를 가는 걸 김지성
you
선수가
managed to
확인을
confirm his
했잖아요.
carry attack with a
골리앗을
scan.
뽑았던 것 같은데
Right.
사실 캐리어는 아니었어요.
So you went into Goliath, but it turned out he didn't go for carriers after all. Yeah, at that point, when my rush got stopped, I thought that if he also has carriers behind this, there's no way I could win. But I scanned again and saw there was no Stargate. To be honest, looking at Motive's Reaver control, it didn't seem that good. So I thought, if I just focus one more time, I can still take this. I focused, and thankfully, I managed to win. And thanks to your ability to focus in a moment of crisis, you have once again landed a good result here. Because you keep showing good results, or results going past the round of 16, there are a lot of fans who put their faith in you. You have to repay that faith, right? Well, after the championship run I had, I keep getting knocked out in the round of 16, and I bet some people are not too pleased with that. This time, I'll once again have to try and get to a higher stage within the tournament. You're definitely going to show good games, but if you had anything to say to your fans? Let's start with Mini. After finishing his games yesterday, he helped me practice even though he must have been so tired. And unfortunately, I did not get to play the map that I had practiced with him. Still, regardless, I am thankful for his help. Other than that, Hero, Light, Ruin, and Scan, also thank you for practicing with me. Also thanks to the bosses of the team I'm on, Eno Label, for their hard work. The boss of that team, Kim In-ho, he keeps telling me to get another championship. I will try to repay him by getting far in the tournament. Also thanks to the Eno Label members who came to cheer for me today. I'll try to have a more sturdy showing in the round of 16 than I did today. Thank you. Once again, congratulations on making the round of 16. Thanks for the interview. And there you have your second place finisher of Group C in Royal.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Another day down, halfway through the round of 24 here, finishing up Group C. We're going to be back next week, and we'll be banging these out in the same fashion we did for this.
Yeah, hope you guys are enjoying. A big thanks once again to everyone who has subscribed on that Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. It's going to be a great season. Today was kind of funny, but here's who we have in the round of 16 so far. No Zergs advancing from these group stages so far. Queen with that big upset, not getting out of his group, so kind of a hit to that Zerg lineup, but there's still some great ones left to play.
2 Zergs, 4 Terran, 4 Protoss. Again, a very Terran-heavy tournament. I think this should even out pretty quickly, though. I think next week we've got some great Zerg players coming in here. Yeah, and it was nice. We had Wicco, we had Motive. It's always cool to have these new players that come up here. I think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
What's wrong?
The Wicco player, he was going by the ID 1127, then used his clan tag. Someone finally figured out who he was. It's Noel.
Yeah.
Noel, the Terran player. So he's kind of a well-known, highly ranked amateur. So that. Finally got that. I know people were asking about that if I've figured that out yet, but there you have it.
Good to know. Be sure to join us, guys. So these are going to be in Korean. They're going to air Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which means we'll record Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which means for you guys it'll be out.
It comes out about midnight-ish EST generally that next day. So
middle of the night.
It's pretty quick.
We get them out about 36 hours after they happen. So we appreciate you guys' patience. Yeah, actually, I think almost literally about 36 hours after they happen. So, just avoid spoilers. And also, I'm going to mention this now and next week as well, but there is 2 weeks off before SSL continues after the round of 24. because I know a lot of people are trying to avoid spoilers, and occasionally people are like, "You guys haven't uploaded it," and we're like, "It hasn't happened."
Yeah, the group selection and maybe Chuseok is coming up or something like that.
Yeah, Korean Thanksgiving's coming up, and then there's the 1 week off with group selection. So
yeah, and the group
we'll
selection, of course, we'll
holidays.
get that up as well. So, yeah.
So, yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. We love you. Consider supporting us on the Patreon. And Artosis, any closing thoughts?
This group was funny. It was supposed to be the group of death for me. I was very excited about it. But yeah, it wasn't as it wasn't the games I was looking for, but fun nonetheless.
We love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.